Hey guys, this is Dylan of Vyper Industrial, and today I'm going to show you how to assemble the Elevated Steel Max Easy Lift. As you unbox your chair, you can see that I have all the parts laid out here. We have the foot rail, we have the main seat, backrest cushion, the elevated leg braces, we have the elevated legs, the backrest weldment, the backrest rubber trim piece, 2 locking casters, 3 regular casters, the cylinder height adjustment, the lower pentagon hub, upper pentagon hub, seat plate, lever, and the seat post weldment, along with all the hardware. And the required tools that you're going to need to put this all together is a 3/4 inch wrench and socket, a 1/2 inch wrench and socket, and a 7/16 wrench and socket. Before you start putting your chair together, make sure you use your assembly guide to take an inventory to make sure that you have all of the parts. You're going to want to make sure you have plenty of space to put it together on a flat level surface. So let's get started. All right, first we are going to attach the elevated legs to the 2 pentagon hub pieces. And to do that, we're going to need the 5/16 by 1/2 bolts and the 5/16 by 3/4 bolts and the 5/16 18 nuts as well. Okay, take your 5/16 18 by 1/2 bolts, and these are going to go through the middle holes on the leg, and we are going to attach the upper hub to the top of the leg like so, and the lower pentagon hub to the bottom of the leg like so. And we're going to repeat this step 5 times for each leg. All right, once you have all those finger tight, notice how I didn't tighten anything yet. We're going to keep all this just finger tight for now until we get a little further along. Now you can stand it upright like that. Now we're going to need to put these bolts in. So we're going to take the 5/16 by 3/4 inch bolts and the 5/16 nuts, and we're going to just put these on finger tight as well. All right, now that those are all installed finger tight, you should have 5 bolts and 5 nuts left over. We are going to use those a little bit later on. Next, we're going to install the casters and the leg braces. Let's flip this guy over, and we're going to need the 1/2 inch by 1.5 inch long bolts and the 1/2 inch nylock nuts. And if you have a chair purchased in 2025 or earlier, you're also going to have these plastic washers that come in a separate kit. You're going to need those as well. Okay, this part's a little tricky, but I think you can do it. If you need a second set of hands, it can certainly be helpful. So we'll start by putting one brace on, and the braces overlap each other like so. And then we're going to have caster, plastic spacer. Like I said, these are 2025 and earlier. And then the nylock nut, just spin that on finger tight for now. You'll notice I didn't grab another locking caster. It's kind of personal preference, but I don't like to put the locking casters next to each other. I like to put them opposite, so depending on where you are sitting on the chair, you still have access to a locking caster. So I would recommend doing the locking casters opposite of each other. So we'll put a regular caster on here, another spacer, and nylock nut. I'd also like to mention right now that if you purchased a tool tray, this is where you would attach the tool tray as well. Obviously with the tool tray, you do not need these braces. These are obsolete. If you bought the tool tray, you're going to want to install that right now as well. There we go. You can see that we have all the casters on loosely right now. Locking casters are opposite each other. Like I said, if you have a tool tray, you're going to want to do that now. And now we are ready to tighten everything up that we have so far. So I'm going to flip this over so that the wheels are on a flat level surface, and we're going to want to tighten in the order of assembly. So first we're going to tighten these 1/2 inch bolts, these 5/16 by 1/2 inch bolts up first, and you're going to need a 1/2 inch socket with a ratchet for that. You also notice in the instructions we do not recommend power tools. It's just aluminum. We don't want to strip anything out, so let's go ahead and get these tightened up. All right, next we're going to tighten up these leg bolts as well, the bolts that attach the legs together, and we're going to use the same 1/2 inch socket, and we're going to need the 1/2 inch wrench. You can go ahead and tighten these bolts up. Next, we're gonna tighten the casters up. To do that, let's flip it back over. And you're going to need a 3/4 inch wrench and your 3/4 inch socket, and of course, ratchet as well. Let's tighten these guys up, put the box open end of the wrench by the caster there, and the socket on the head of the bolt. And we want to make sure that these are nice and tight, but not too tight that your caster doesn't swivel. It is possible that you can tighten this too much and your caster won't rotate. So if you run into that problem, your caster's a little stiff, just try and crack that bolt loose just ever so slightly until the caster starts rotating. There we go. Make sure all your casters swivel nicely, and like I said, if they don't, it's possible that this might be a little too tight. Go ahead and try and crack that loose a little bit until your caster rotates. We can flip this back over. All right, now that your lower base is all tight, should glide very nicely. We are going to attach the foot rail. We're gonna put it on, like so. Notice how I have the tab of the foot rail on the same side as the caster bolt. Now we're going to use the remainder of the 5/16 3/4 inch bolts and the 5/16 nuts left over from the first step. We're gonna use them to attach the foot rail to the legs. Spin those on finger tight. We'll go around and tighten them once they're all installed. All right, once you have all the foot rail bolts in, we can go ahead and tighten those up. We're gonna use the 1/2 inch socket and ratchet again and the 1/2 inch wrench. And we'll go through and tighten these up. All right, guys, and that is the assembly of the lower leg portion of your chair. Next, you're going to need your seat. Make sure you have a clean area to set your seat on. We're going to need to work on it upside down so it doesn't get damaged. And we're going to need the lever, seat post, weldment, and the seat plate. And you're going to need the 1/4 inch bolts as well. So let's get these opened up. First, we're going to attach the seat plate to the chair. As you can see, we have the hole pattern here that matches the hole pattern on the bottom of the seat. Notice the warning on the bottom of the seat to not use power tools when tightening these up. We don't want to damage the inserts or pull the inserts out that are pressed into the wood. Attach the seat plate like so. Let's get these finger tight. Notice how I have the plate orientated so that the little curve in the plate right here is in line with the 6 bolts. Now we can go ahead and tighten these up using the 3/8 socket and ratchet. Like I said, no power tools when tightening these up. We don't want to pull out the inserts that are in the plywood. Next, we're going to install the seat post weldment like so, and we want the cutout here to be towards these 6 holes. That's clearance if you buy the adjustable backrest. That should fit in there nice, and then we're gonna open up this separate bag of hardware that you should have received, and we need the 4 5/16 by 3/4 inch bolts and the 4 5/16 nuts as well. Stick these through there. See how I'm using my thumb to press the nut against the part so that I can pretty much thread the bolt into it. Okay, we can go ahead and tighten those. We're gonna need the 1/2 inch socket and the 1/2 inch wrench as well. We're gonna put the box end of the wrench on the nut and go ahead and tighten these up. Now that this assembly is tight and attached, we're going to install the lever. So we're gonna install the lever. It's gonna go like this so that the open side is facing the top, what would be the top of the seat. We're gonna take a 1/4 inch, 5.5 inch long bolt with the washer, put it into that hole. Then we're gonna take one of our plastic spacers, carefully slide that through a little bit, insert our lever, take our other plastic spacer, and line it up with the hole like so. 1/4 inch washer, 1/4 inch nylon nut, pin that on. Then we will need the 7/16 socket and 7/16 wrench to go ahead and tighten this lever bolt up. So we don't want to go too tight with this because we don't want to not be able to move the lever. So this lever needs to be able to move freely like that, but we can go tight enough so that the nylon engages on the bolt. Perfect. Next, I'll put this over the edge of the table. We are going to install the backrest weldment. Notice how I have it on the edge of the table so that the backrest can hang off the side of the table. We are going to use 6 of our 1/4 inch bolts here to attach the backrest to the seat. Get these started by hand first, and remember, no power tools to tighten these bolts up. Once those 6 bolts are started by hand, we can go ahead and take our 3/8 socket and go ahead and tighten these up. Now that that's done, bring our lower assembly back, and we can take our gas cylinder and insert that into the lower assembly, seated nicely. And we can take our seat assembly, put that on top. They are tapered, so there's no bolts or hardware or anything that holds the cylinder in place. It's a taper, so it uses a wedging effect. And we got 4 1/4-inch bolts remaining. That is to attach the backrest cushion to the bracket. Just like the seat, we want to start these bolts by hand. Once those are started by hand and finger tight, we're going to take the 3/8 and go ahead and tighten these up. Like I said, we don't need to go too crazy tight. We don't want to pull the inserts out of the plywood. All right, and lastly, all you should have left is the backrest rubber, and that goes on the spine of the backrest. You just push it on nice like that, and the metal inside of there will bite, and just feed that all along the spine. That protects it from bouncing off your drywall or any cars or anything that you don't want damaged. Push the lever to adjust the seat up, and that is the assembly of the Elevated Steel Max Easy Lift. You will notice you have a few bolts left over. These are for the Quick Height and the Acme Rod versions. Those can be discarded or added to your coffee can of miscellaneous hardware bolts. I hope this video was helpful for you guys. If you have any questions regarding the assembly, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Drop us a line at 920-301-3822 or shoot us an email at sales@vyperindustrial.com. Enjoy your Vyper chair.